So my friend, you wanna play Kayn but you don't know where to start? Don't you worry, you came to the right place. I'm a Master Silo Kayn player and I've been playing this champion ever since he got released. In this video I'm gonna go over all the bits and pieces that will help you get started. And if you are already a Kayn player, don't you worry my friend, I've got some tips and tricks for you as well. If you enjoyed this type of content, then make sure to drop a like and a sub, I really appreciate it and it helps a lot. Also, go check out my Twitch channel, I stream there every day from Monday to Friday, but for now, let's get back to the video. So, let's start with Kayn's abilities. I'm gonna leave his passive for last as that's basically where all the fun begins. Kayn's Q, Reaping Slash, makes you dash forward and slash around at the end. Both dash and slash deal damage. Can also go over terrain, pretty cool. Kayn's W, Blade's Reach, makes you strike in a line dealing damage to all enemies hit and slowing them. Kayn's E, Shadow Step, grants you move speed and the ability to go over walls. You also get healed upon entering terrain for the first time. Important thing to note is that this ability only lasts for a short amount of time if you are not inside the terrain or you are in combat. Kayn's ult, Umbral Trespass, passively marks enemies you damaged. Once an enemy has been marked, you can then use the ability to dash to the target and attach yourself to them. After a while, or upon recasting the ability, you deal damage to the target and dash out from their body. Now, it's time for Kayn's passive, the Darkin Scythe. Kayn has a secondary experience bar that tracks progress toward his forms, the Darkin Rhaast and the Shadow Assassin. The bar gets filled by gathering orbs from damaging or killing enemy champions. Melee targets will give you red orbs, filling the bar for Rhaast, while ranged champions will give you blue orbs for the Shadow Assassin. Once you have earned enough orbs, the form with the most points gets unlocked, and the other one gets placed on a cooldown. But you can reduce the cooldown by gathering more orbs of the same type. TLDR, if you want to play red Kayn, fight melee champions. If you want to play blue Kayn, fight ranged champions. To choose your form, you have to go back to your base. The moment you transform, there is no going back, and you will play with that form for the rest of the game. Now, what do these forms actually do? Let us start with the Darkin. Rhaast's passive makes you heal for a percentage of damage dealt to enemy champions with your abilities. Q now deals damage based on the target's maximum health. W is now a knock-up instead of a slow. E stays the same, but your ult now deals damage and heals you based on the target's max health. Rhaast is considered a skirmisher. It's a class of champions that aim to shred through any nearby enemy, but they struggle with being outranged or being locked down and focused in a teamfight. Rhaast is an amazing champion against tanks and bruisers, so if the enemy team has a lot of frontline, he will be a perfect choice. Now it's time for the Shadow Assassin. Passive, entering combat with enemy champions make you deal bonus magic damage. Q does not change. Your W can now be cast while moving and the range is vastly increased. Your E, the cooldown of this ability, is reduced, the move speed is increased, and you gain slow resistance for the duration. And your ult gains bonus cast and exit range, and it also refreshes your passive's cooldown. Shadow Assassin is considered to be, well, an assassin. This class of champions specializes in infiltrating enemy lines with their amazing mobility to quickly eliminate high priority targets at a cost of being very fragile themselves. This form is very good in taking down squishy enemies like AD carries, mages or enchanters, making him a perfect choice against those type of team comps. Now that will be it for Kayn's abilities, so let us now move to the runes and items. I've actually already made a full video about it at the start of the season, so if you are interested then link will be in the description. Here I will briefly go over the runes and items that I personally play with every game, starting with Conqueror. Now this rune page is only being used for red Kayn. The things that you can change is instead of going for last stand, you can choose either coup de grace or cut down depending on the enemy team comp. Secondary runes are gonna be Domination with Sudden Impact and Treasure Hunter. Depending on a matchup, I personally like to go for Sorcery with Axiom Arcanis and Transcendence as it's gonna give you so much ability haste and it's gonna make your ultimate even stronger, or if the early matchup is really difficult, Resolve with Bone Plate and Overgrowth. And yes, you heard me right, it's Bone Plate in the jungle, nobody expects that. In stat charts you want to go for double AD and health. Scaling HP is a very good option, but some people like to go with flat health as it helps you with an early clear and gives you some additional health in the early game. Now for blue Kayn. The runes will be Dark Harvest. You mostly want to play with Treasure Hunter, but you can also go for Relentless Hunter instead. Secondary runes will be Inspiration with Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight, but you can also change the Magical Footwear for Cashback. For stat charts is the same thing, so nothing to add here. This rune page can also be used for Purple Kayn. It means that if you find yourself in a match where both forms are absolutely fine, then this is the rune page that you want to go for without shooting yourself in the foot before the game even starts. Let's go this, let's go purple this game. With runes out of the way, let's move on to the items. When it comes to the jungle pet, blue is usually the safest bet, but I like to go for the red one against more tanky comps or green one against some burst engage like a Malphite ult. Now you want Eclipse into quick trades like against Jarvan, Lee Sin or Ambessa, or Voltaic into more squishy, not so mobile champions like Yasuo, Yone or Viego. Shojin is still an okay item, but the first item spike is not really that impressive. You can go for it into more bruiser or tank heavy drafts where fights are gonna last a longer time, like let's say against Mordekaiser top, Mundo jungle and Leona support, but even then I personally believe Eclipse would have been just better. When it comes to boots, it will be either steel caps or merc treads depending on what you need. After that, you want either Death's Dance or Maw depending on what you actually need the most. If there's some AP damage that you have to respect but they're not really a threat to you, then you can just simply buy a Hex Drinker and sit on it, then finish your Death's Dance afterwards. The last item will either be Endless Hunger or Guardian Angel. Now let's move to Blue Kayn. The recent Hubris buffs made it an amazing item, so you want to build that basically every game. After that, it will be either Axiom or Serpents, or if there's an important CC you have to avoid, then Edge of Night will be a great option. Boots will basically always be Lucidity, but if you really need some resistances, then you can absolutely go for Steel Caps or Mercs as well. Third item will basically always be Grudge, fourth item will be Edge of Night if you haven't built it already, and the last item will be GA in the vast majority of your games. That's gonna be it for the items, so let us now move to the jungle clear. Kayn is mostly a power farming jungler, meaning he wants to farm as much as possible and play on his item spikes. Usually you will go for the standard blue into Gromp, then Wolves, Raptors, Red and Krags. Or Red into Krags, then Raptors, Wolves, Gromp and Blue. You can also start on Raptors, then go to your Krags, then Red, Wolves, Gromp and Blue. After you take the crab, you will want to go back to your Raptors as they are about to spawn, then go to Krags and then recall. If you don't know where to start, here's some quick rules to help you out. Usually, you want to path towards bot lane as they are your win condition. You want to path towards a lane that can set up a gank for you, for example Ahri mid lane with her charm or Nautilus support with his hook, as you have no hard crowd control in your kit. If the enemy team has a power farming jungler, like Nocturne or Shyvana, you want to start on Raptors. Just be cautious with that one as they can invade you after the crab. You always want to start with your Q at level 1, and then W at level 2. Many players take E at level 2 when they start on Raptors or Red, so it's up to you, whichever you prefer. While clearing your jungle, remember to drag the camp towards your next one in between your auto attacks. You also want to Q into the wall, not all the way through. The reason why you want to do that is because queuing into a wall reduces the time you spend casting the ability. That way you can save a lot of time. After your first clear, you can then look for a crab or a gank, then recall back to base. After that, you simply want to repeat the process all over again. When it comes to dragons, it is absolutely okay to give up the first one. If you know that the enemy is on a dragon and their topside jungle is up, then go and take it. Now at this point, you've probably asked yourself this question: if I'm supposed to farm, then how do I get my farm? Don't worry my friend, the passive has a hidden mechanic. The longer you don't fight, the more points you will get the next time you damage the enemy. In the majority of your games, you will get your passive around minute 10, so you can safely farm your jungle and not worry about it too much. At around minute 10, you should be able to get your form with your first item. Once you get it, congratulations! You finally became a real champion and not a Yuumi with a scythe.
Let's slice him!
But remember, just because you're a champion now does not mean you become Thanos and can 1v9 the game. Kayn is a scaling champion, and both forms spike really hard on the third item. But once you get to that point, you can then start taking over the game. And now for the last part, it's time for some tips and tricks. Kayn is not really a combo type champion, but when playing Blue Kayn, you can use your W and Q at the same time for some massive damage. When it comes to ganking, you want to use your E through a wall to get behind the enemy in order to cut off their escape path. Hold on to your W until they run away. That way you slow them down and give your team and yourself some time to catch up. As we've established already, your ult can only be used on targets that you have damaged, but that also applies to items and summoner spells. A common trick that Kayn players do is smiting the enemy so then they can ult them right away. On the topic of ulting and smiting, it is also possible to smite during your ult, so the next time you want to steal an objective, make sure to hop on a target. Your ult is also the only defensive tool that you have in your kit, so make sure to play around its cooldown. Don't jump out of your ult immediately, you can buy a lot of time for yourself and your teammates. You might have noticed that whenever you use your E and you hop into a wall, there's sometimes a weird circle appearing on the ground. It's there for the enemies to know that you are currently inside the wall, but you can also use it to your advantage. If the enemy is in the bush and you have no vision on them, simply jump inside the wall. If the circle shows up, now you know the exact location of your opponent. When it comes to teamfights, as rhaast you want to fight front to back. You're not really that good at engaging, so let them come to you first. As blue Kayn though, you want to get behind the enemy lines, kill them as fast as possible and get out. Now one thing when it comes to your first recall, do not buy serrated dirk or the brutalizer. Instead, buy a pickaxe and a longsword. In the current meta, the epic items are not really that strong and buying raw components is simply much better. Kayn also is a champion with very aggressive AD scaling on his abilities. Your W has 110% bonus AD ratio and your Q has a whopping 170% bonus AD ratio. That means if you buy a longsword that gives you 10 AD, in reality your W will have plus 11 damage and your Q plus 17. And because large monsters have 40 armor, with smaller ones having only 20, it means that you will clear your jungle faster with a pickaxe and a longsword than with a serrated dirk. And that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, my friend. I hope this guide will help you a ton, and if you have any other questions, then make sure to leave them in the comments. I love you all, and as always, have a great day, my friend.